Netflix. Today, it's one of the most powerful media companies in the world, with more than 250 million subscribers and global reach. But what if I told you Netflix came terrifyingly close to failure? That behind the billion-dollar empire lies a story of rejection, layoffs, and bold gambles that nearly destroyed them. The story begins in 1997 in California. Reed Hastings had just sold his software company for hundreds of millions, giving him both money and the urge to start something new. Mark Randolph, his colleague, shared his entrepreneurial spirit. Together, they founded Netflix. Their idea was simple, but radical. Rent DVDs by mail. At the time, VHS tapes dominated the market. Blockbuster, the king of home entertainment, had more than 9,000 stores worldwide and billions in revenue. The idea that anyone would pay to have a DVD sent through the mail, people laughed. But Hastings and Randolph saw something others didn't. DVDs were small, light, and cheap to ship. No more late fees, no lines at the video store. Just pick a movie online, and it shows up at your door. In theory, it was brilliant. In practice, it was a nightmare. In the early days, Netflix lost money on almost every transaction. Mailing costs were high, the website was clunky, and customers weren't convinced. Worse, DVDs themselves were a new format, and most households didn't even own a DVD player yet. Investors were skeptical. Hastings put in his own money, millions of dollars. But Netflix was burning through cash fast. By 2000, the dot-com bubble was bursting. Startups were collapsing left and right, and Netflix was on the edge. The company was drowning in debt, and they had fewer than 500,000 subscribers. Payroll was tight, investors were nervous, and Reed Hastings faced the very real possibility of bankruptcy. Desperate, Hastings and Randolph tried to sell Netflix. They approached Blockbuster with an offer. Buy us for just $50 million, the Blockbuster's executives. It sounded like a joke. They laughed them out of the room. One executive later admitted, "We didn't see the threat." That rejection could have been the end of Netflix. Instead, it fueled them. Netflix pivoted. Instead of single DVD rentals, they introduced a monthly subscription plan. Unlimited rentals. One flat fee, no late charges. This was revolutionary. Customers didn't need to think about each transaction. They could simply watch as much as they wanted. People loved it. Growth surged, and Netflix finally had momentum. But the challenges didn't stop. The dot-com crash hit hard, and Netflix was still bleeding money. In 2001, to survive, Hastings made a brutal decision. He laid off 1/3 of the staff. Imagine the pressure, firing friends and colleagues just to keep the company alive. But the gamble worked. With fewer costs and a sharper focus, Netflix stabilized. Even then, they faced another obstacle: going public. In 2002, Netflix launched its IPO, raising just over $80 million. It wasn't a huge success at first. Analysts doubted that a mail-order DVD business could survive. The stock price even dropped after launch. But the funding gave Netflix a lifeline. And then came the boldest gamble of all. By 2007, DVDs were still strong, but Hastings knew the future wasn't in the mail. It was online. Netflix introduced streaming. At the time, the technology was far from perfect. Most internet connections were slow. The library of movies was tiny. Critics said it was a distraction, a side project that would never replace DVDs. But Hastings doubled down, pouring millions into streaming. It was a huge risk. If streaming failed, Netflix would collapse, but it didn't fail. It changed everything. Slowly, subscribers shifted from DVDs to instant online viewing. Convenience beat tradition. By 2010, streaming wasn't just part of Netflix. It was Netflix. Meanwhile, Blockbuster, the company that once laughed at Netflix's $50 million offer, was collapsing. Saddled with billions in debt, trapped in its old model, Blockbuster filed for bankruptcy in 2010. Netflix, the underdog, had outsmarted the giant. But the Netflix story doesn't end there. Hastings and his team weren't satisfied with renting other people's content. They wanted to control the entire pipeline. From distribution to creation, in 2013, Netflix launched its first original series, House of Cards. It was a gamble. It's costing over $100 million for 2 seasons. Many thought it was insane for a tech company to compete with Hollywood, but it worked. House of Cards was a hit, winning awards and proving that Netflix could be a studio, not just a distributor. This changed the entire entertainment industry. Suddenly, Netflix wasn't just surviving, it was leading. Other studios scrambled to copy the model, launching their own streaming services. But Netflix had first-mover advantage. It kept growing, investing billions each year into original content. Of course, not every risk paid off. Netflix has had failures, expensive shows canceled, mounting debt from content spending, fierce competition from Disney+, Amazon Prime, and HBO. But through it all, the company's DNA remained the same. Risk everything, move first, adapt fast. Today, Netflix is worth over $150 billion, and its story is taught as one of the greatest turnarounds in business history. But the truth is, none of it was guaranteed. Netflix came within inches of collapse. Rejected, laughed at, buried in debt. What saved them was not luck, but relentless risk-taking and a willingness to reinvent themselves. Before it was too late, and that's the real lesson. Great companies are not built in times of comfort. They're forged in crisis. This was the untold story of Netflix. And next time, we'll reveal how Amazon, once just an online bookstore, transformed into the most powerful company on earth.